So I'm on Pixel Studio. So now I'm just going to bring my first image. So this is the image I'm going to use. As you can see, it doesn't have a background. I'm just going to drag to Affinity. So now I'm just going to scale it down. So here it is. So now in order to wrap a text around an image, I'm going to show you two ways. So the first one is by using, for example, this image that doesn't have a background. And the second one is by using an image where we need to make selection. So now I'm going to start with this one here. So I'm just going to scale it down much more. Make sure on the move tool, I'm going to center it. So now in order to wrap a text around this image or layer, we need to use the frame text tool. So left click here, let's select the frame text tool. So now I'm just going to create the frame here where I want to place my text. So here it is. And now I am still inside the frame text tool, right click. And then I'm just going to select insert filler text. So here it is, it will generate some dummy text. So now I'm going to select the image. Select the image. So in order to wrap the text here around it, go to text, select text wrap, and then select show text wrap settings. So now the wrap style here is none, and now I can change here to jump, square, tight, inside or edge. So for example, I want to change it to tight. You can also change, for example, the wrap to can either both sides or largest side. So I'm just going to select both sides. So now the distance from the text here, I'm going to change it, for example, to around 30 pixels. Press enter. So now as you can see, the lock here is unchecked. I'm just going to bring it back to 0 and then check the lock icon here so I can change all the settings at once. So I'm just going to double click. I'm just going to type 30 so it will add spacing all around. So press enter. So here it is. So now as you can see, I am still selecting the layer, the image. I'm just going, for example, let's select the move tool now so I can scale it. So here it is. As you can see, the text moves dynamically. So here it is. I can move it here. So for now, I'm just going to close the text wrap here. So now let's select, for example, the filler text now. So now, for example, here, let's say I'm going to change the size here to 20. So I can also, for example, change the font here, the style. So now here, I'm just going to change the alignment here. So for example, you can align it left. You can also, for example, select justify center. So I'm just going to select here, justify left. So here you will be able to change the number of columns. So here it is. As you can see, we have 3 columns. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. It's like a newspaper. So here this will control the spacing between the columns. So if I double click, let's change it to 50 per center. So here it is. So for example, I'm just going to increase the number of columns. So now I'm going to reduce the columns to just 1. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit here like this so you can see all the canvas. So now I can also click on the text frame here. You can also change, for example, the insets here. It will give it kind of margins here. So make sure to check here the lock. And then here, for example, I will change it to 50 per center. So for example, I will change it to 100. So here it is. So I'm just going to make sure selecting the frame text. And now, for example, I'm just going to scale down the text. So here it is to make it fit the canvas. So here it is. Now, for example, I can change, for example, let's say 50 per center. So here it is. So now if you check the ignore text wrap, it will remove all the wrapping. So make sure to uncheck it. And for example, if you want, for example, to change the spacing in the text, the tracking or the line height, I'm just going to select the character here, left click on it. You can also find it here. Just click here. So here it is. I'm just going to select the character. And now here I can change, for example, the spacing. So here it is, different settings. So this is the line height. You can also add some decorations, underlining. So now I'm just going to exit. So this is the first method. I'm going to delete this image. Click on this icon here to delete this document. Just going to click no. So here it is. And now I'm going to bring my second image. So this is the second image I'm going to use. I'm just going to drag to Affinity. So here it is. Just going to zoom in a little bit. So now in order to wrap a text around an image here, for example around this woman here, we need to create a selection first of the object or person we want to wrap a text around. So now I'm just going to left click here. I'm just going to select the selection brush tool. I'm going to select the women here. Make sure the mode here is add. The size is 50 pixels. So here it is. So now I'm going to increase this selection a little bit. So go to pixel, pixel selection, and then grow. So now I'm just going to increase it a little bit. So here it is. So like this. And now click on apply. So now I'm going to smooth out this selection. So let's go back to pixel, pixel selection, and then select smooth. So now it will round the edges here. So you don't want to overdo it. So I'm just going to add, for example, this one here like this, around 11, 11.5, and now click apply. And now I'm going to invert this selection. So go to pixel, pixel selection, and then invert. So now we have inverted our selection. Now we're selecting all the background here. So now I'm going to convert this selection into a curve. So go to vector and then select convert to curves. So here it is. As you can see, we have a curve layer here. It is white. Also change its color, so I'm just going to leave it to white. So now I'm going to select the frame text tool to add my text. Left click here, select the frame text tool, and now I'm just going to left click inside the curve layer, select the curve layer, and then left click with the frame text tool. So for example, you can add your text, or just for example for me, I'm going to right click and then just insert filler text. So here it is. As you can see, it is wrapping around the women here. It is only filling the curve layer. So now for example, our layer here changed into a curve text. So now for example, if I left click inside the curve layer, Control A to select all text, I can change for example the size. So here it is. You can also for example change the font. So I'm just going to leave it Arial. You can also change the style. So for example here for the alignment, so I'm just going to select justify center. So I think I will go with justify. Can also for example just select, for example I'm just going to go with justify left. It looks much better. So now as you can see, we want for example the background here to be transparent. We don't want the white background of the curve text layer. So click on the text frame here, up here, left click. So now this is the fill, left click here. So now you can change the fill. So for example, I want to remove the fill, just click on this icon. So here it is. You can also add a stroke. So I'm just going to remove it. And now this is the text, ignore text wrap, it won't affect it. So now just to make sure to check the hide overflow, I'm just going to add an insets. Double click, make sure the lock here is checked. I'm going to add the 30 pixel, press enter. So here it is. So let's go with 20. And then here I'm just going to change the justify. So I think I'm going to leave to align left. So now I'm just going to exit, and now if I left click here, so here's the character. So now I'm just going to select the character here, and then here you can also for example change some of the settings here. So if I select this one, add 100, so here it is. Increase the spacing, so I'm just going to bring it back to 0. And then I'm just going to change the text color here from the color wheel here to white, and then increase a little bit the size. So here it is. So now the blue outline here is just the one from the curve layer. If I right click, select merge visible, it will create a new layer from what's visible and then hide curve layer. So here it is.